there's a stira, a contradiction that has to be ironed out. On the one hand, the Torah says, Shiva Shavuos Tispar Lach, count 7 weeks of Sfiras Ha'omer. The pasuk in Parshas Re'eh, Shiva Shavuos Tispar Lach. And even though I'm not a math guy, but they did get me that far, that 7 times 7 is 46, right? Just kidding. 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, so 7 times 7, count 7 weeks. Shiva Shavuos Tispar Lach, 49. And the contradiction is that there's another pasuk in the Chumash that says, Tisperu Chamishim Yoim. Count 50 days. So, again, I'm not a math guy, but 49 is not 50. It's close, but it's not the same. So what am I supposed to count, 49 or 50? We know that we count 49. That's what we do. But the Torah says, Tisperu Chamishim Yoim. So what do we do with this contradiction? So, Rashi in Chumash has his method of saying, you're not reading it properly. It doesn't say count 50. It says count, comma. 7 weeks you should count, comma. And then after that, 50, on the 50th day, there'll be special celebration, Karbanos, it's Shavuot. That's, you need to put the comma in the right place. If you don't put the comma in the right place, you end up with a misunderstanding. Got that? You end up with a misunderstanding because you didn't put the comma in the right place. Okay, anyway. If you got it, you got it, and if you didn't. So you got to put the comma in the right place, says Rashi, and then you don't have the stira. No, you have a stira because you're misreading the pasuk. That's Rashi's mahalach. The Rosh, in the end of the Masechet Pesachim, says a very interesting klal. He says that the Torah, the way the Torah speaks, is not what we're used to, but this is the procedure. The way the Torah talks is, anytime there's a number that the Torah wants to talk about, that's just one short of a full 10, the way the Torah says it is by saying the full 10. So therefore, since 49 is just one short of a full 10, it doesn't say 49. The way, the standard sprach, the way the Torah talks, the language of the Torah is, it says the full 10, even when it's talking about one short of the full 10. So instead of saying 49, Torah language is, when you want to say 49, you say 50. That's it. That's Torah language. And it gives a few examples. The Jewish people, Yaakov Avinu's family came to Mitzrayim from Eretz Canaan. How many of them were there? The Torah says, Shivim Nefesh, there were 70. Says Chazal, when you count them, there were only 69. Says the Rosh, right. Because the way you say 69 in Torah language is 70. Because anytime it's short, one short of a full 10, you just round it up to the 10. The other example the Rosh gives is, it says that you give 40 malchus. To a person who needs malchus, you give him 40 malchus. And Chazal say you never give 40 malchus. You only give maximum of 39. Well, if you only give 39, why does it say you give 40? Says the Rosh. That's the way the Torah talks. When it's one short of a full 10, it just says the full 10. So here also, 49 you're supposed to count. How do you say that in Torah language? Tisperu chamishim yoim. All's good. That's the answer the Rosh gives. I want to share with you one more answer.
Now you got 40 malachos of Shabbos. 39. If
the Torah was to actually say that, right, the way it would say it would be by saying 40, right? One more answer. The Sefer HaChinuch tells us in Mitzvah Shin Vav, what is al tzad hapshat? What is the pshat understanding of this mitzvah of counting Sfiras Ha'omer? The pshat understanding is, Lefi shekol ikaram sheYisrael einoi el ha'Torah. What is the defining feature, the ikar of the Jewish people is none other than the Torah. That's it. That's everything about us. If you want to know what does it mean to be a Jew, the Torah. That's what it means to be a Jew. Called ikaram sheYisrael einoi el ha'Torah. The whole universe was invented, created for the purpose of us to have the Torah. The whole reason Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim is not geschmack. It's not no fun to be a slave in Egypt. It wasn't nice. No, I will not let you go. The whole story, not nice part. But that's not why Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, because it's not nice. That's not why. Not because it's not fair. Not because, it's not right to have slavery. Not because of that. Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, not because of that. Rather, Hasiba shenigalu v'yatzu miMitzrayim kadei sheyikablu haTorah b'Sinai v'yikaimuha. That's why we're taken out of Mitzrayim, to receive and accept and fulfill the Torah. That's what the whole purpose of the Jewish people is. That's what the whole purpose of the universe is. V'inyan gadol, just skipping a little bit, v'inyan gadol, hi ha'ikar ha'gadol shebishvil zeh nig'alim. This is the main, whole, big reason for which we were redeemed out of Mitzrayim. V'inyan gadol hu lahem yoisim min acheres me'abdus. More significant than the fact that we were slaves is the fact that Hashem gave us the Torah. That means, just to put it in brutal terms, that means the fact that we were abused and whipped and beaten and bleeding and broken every day at the crack of dawn, being physically controlled by these Rishayim, and you can't get away. And if you try to get away, they'll beat you and they'll kill you. And that, Hashem saved us from that, is very significant. But you know what's even greater than that? That He gave us the Torah. That's greater than the fact that He saved us from the torture. Greater than He saved us from the tortures, that He gave us the Torah. You have to put this in perspective. We have to put things in the right order in our minds. Inyan gadol hu lahem yoisim min acherus me'abdus. If you were a slave, and with all the horribleness of being a slave, the physical brutality of being a slave, and you were saved from that, and then given the Torah, I'm not sure how easy it would be to think that receiving the Torah is even greater than being saved from the brutal horribleness of the slavery. But that's what it is. Much greater than the fact that we were saved from the brutality is giving us the Torah. And therefore, says the Sefer Chinuch, this is really the hinge of the whole understanding of the pshat of this mitzvah, is that this point that we just made. It's greater. Receiving the Torah is a greater point for us than having been taken out of slavery. Mipneichen, because of that, since he ikar anshel Yisraelu v'arbura nigalu, since that was the whole point of being saved from Mitzrayim, it's not because it's so terrible to have slaves. It is terrible, but because Hashem wants to give us the Torah, that's much bigger for us. Therefore, mitzvahinu, we're commanded limnois mimachras yom tov shel Pesach ad nesinas haTorah. That's why we were commanded to start counting from after the first day of Pesach to Kabbalah Satorah. Think about it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. On Purim, imagine if on Purim morning, after the Megillah, the rabbi says, okay, everyone, have a seat. We're going to have a shir about Hilchas Shofar. Rosh Hashanah is, coming in about a year and in about 7 months. Let's learn about, what's Purim? Now it's Purim. You're going to teach us about Shofar? There's not the time for this. And on Rosh Hashanah, let's learn about what staying up all night and learning and cheesecake and the Hilchos Basar B'Chalav, what to do with it. On Rosh Hashanah, that's not what. On Rosh Hashanah, we should start learning about Shavuos. It just doesn't. So it's actually, if you think about it, it's outrageous that on Pesach, on the second night of Pesach, start counting Sfiras HaOmer towards Shavuos. It's Pesach now. I would think Pesach has its own purpose. Pesach has a focus. There's Pesach topics. Now when Pesach's over, start counting. Then you start learning, Shavuos is coming, let's get excited. On Pesach, come on. That's not the topic right now. No, but it is the topic now. You know why? Because greater than Yetzias Mitzrayim is giving us the Torah. And in order to drive that point home, to rub that in, on Pesach, when you think, let's focus on Pesach, let's focus on Yetzias Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsuf, Matzah, Maror, all the Makkos, let's focus on, no, yeah, you will focus on that also, but we're also going to now rub it into Pesach, in your face Pesach, we're counting Sfiras HaOmer. Now we're starting to show that that's actually more meaningful to me and more important to me than Pesach, than Yetzias Mitzrayim, than saving me from slavery. How do you show that this matters more? That now, on Pesach, I'm talking about and counting towards Shavuos. That shows me that matters to me more. If it didn't matter more, if it was, this is for now, and that's for later, then I wouldn't start talking about Shavuos and counting towards Shavuos. On Pesach, I would say, now's Pesach, let's give it its full attention, and when it's over, then now that it's Pesach, in Pesach's face, we're going to start counting towards Shavuos to show I want Shavuos. I'm excited. Shavuos, you're eating matzah. Yeah, I'm eating matzah, and I'm talking about Shavuos, and I'm being mekayim a mitzvah to count towards Shavuos to show that that's even more important to me and even greater to me. That's the idea of this mitzvah, says the Sefer HaChinuch. And ask the Sefer HaChinuch, and here's the point that I wanted to get to answer the original question of the 50 and the 49 and 50 stira. Ask the Sefer HaChinuch, if that's the case, then why does the Torah command us to start counting Sfiras Omer only on the second night of Pesach? If you really want to rub it in Pesach's face and really want to make a point and really show that this is the Torah, Kabbalah Torah is more important than Yetzias Mitzrayim, then already on the first night of Pesach you should mamish right at the beginning when you think, oh, we're going to start now with the Kadesh. No Kadesh Urchatz. Before Kadesh Urchatz, more important even than the first night I'm going to start Sfiras Omer. Why not? Ask the Sefer Chinuch. Why? So Sefer Chinuch says, yeah, it's true, it's super important, but there's such important lessons of emunah that we are meant to be ingraining into our bones by the Leil HaSeder that we can't completely overlook that and overshadow that with the Sfiras Omer. And therefore, even though it's true the Torah is more important than Yetzias Mitzrayim, and therefore on the second night we start. Why don't we start on the first night already? Because we do need, this so important is the first night to help us have the Yisoidus, the Shoyrashim of Emunah, that we have to give that the 24 hours that it needs. We have to give that because we need it. We need the Emunah that we can get from the first night of Pesach. We need that. Once we got that, then already on the second night we start with the Sfiras Omer. Okay, that's his answer. So, what do you see from his answer? That really, because of the whole point to show that Torah is greater than freedom from slavery, what God did for us by giving us the Torah is greater than what He did for us by taking us out of Mitzrayim and making us free from the Avdus, to show that we, on Pesach, we're counting towards the Mitzrayim. We don't wait towards Kabbalah Torah. We don't wait till Pesach's over. On Pesach, we're rubbing it in to show that. But not on the first night, because we need the emunah yisoidus that we'll get from talking about what Hashem did to us to save us. We need that emunah, but what he's saying is, therefore, that technically we would have started on the first night, if not for this technicality that we need the emunah, and therefore we don't want to miss the emunah lesson by focusing on Matan Torah, on the upcoming Matan Torah 50 days later. We don't want to miss the emunah lesson that we need so badly. So because of that technicality, we don't start on the first night, we push it off. The Torah pushed it off for us to the second night of Pesach. But if not for that technicality, it would make sense even on the first night already to be counting Sfiras Omer. And what you see from that, therefore, is that really it's a 50-day period. Just because we push it off and start one day later, you end up with 49. But really, in its essence, in its true essence, it's really a 50-day period. If you have $50 bills and you put one aside, and then you start counting your $50 bills, having put one aside, how many will you count? You have 50, but you will only count 49. And that's exactly what happens here. It's really a 50-day period, and in the true essence of the mitzvah, really we would even count from the first night already, just to show how much greater the Torah is. The gift that God gave us is so much greater than taking me out of slavery. And I would really start on the first night already, says the Sefer HaChinuch. But because technically we're human, we can only focus on one thing at a time. We're male, we can't multitask. So therefore, we're going to focus on Yetzias Mitzrayim just that first night, get all the emunah we need for the first night, and then right away on the second night already start counting. It's a 50-day period, but since we push it off one night, we've skipped the first night, we only end up counting 49. So both are true. It's 49 and it's 50, and that's another answer to the original question.